முடிவெடுப்பதிலிருந்து பெண்கள் விலக்கப்படுவது தற்செயலானது அல்ல. அது பாலின அதிகார படிநிலைகள் மூலம் கட்டமைப்பு ரீதியாக பராமரிக்கப்படுகிறது என பிரதமர் ஹரிணி அமரசூரிய தெரிவித்துள்ளார். நேற்று சுவிட்சர்லாந்தின் டேவோஸ் கிளாஸ்டரில் நடைபெற்ற உலக பொருளாதார மன்றத்தின் 56வது ஆண்டு கூட்டத்தின் ஒரு பகுதியாக உலக பெண் இல்லத்தில் நடைபெற்ற உலக பெண் டேவோஸ் 2026 நிகழ்ச்சி நிரலில் பிரதமர் பங்கேற்று உரையாற்றினார். மாறிவரும் உலகளாவிய ஒழுங்கை வழிநடத்தும் பெண்கள் என்ற தலைப்பில் நடைபெற்ற உயர்மன்ற மன்றத்தில் உரையாற்றிய பிரதமர், அரசியல், பொருளாதார மற்றும் சமூக துறைகளில் பெண்களின் பங்களிப்பு அதிகரித்து வரும் போதிலும் ஊதியம் பெறாத பராமரிப்பு பணி, முறைசாரா உழைப்பு மற்றும் விவசாயம் போன்ற துறைகளில் அவர்களின் பங்களிப்புகள் தொடர்ந்து முறையாக குறைத்து மதிப்பிடுவதாக குறிப்பிட்டார். அரசியல் சூழலில் பெண்கள் முடிவெடுப்பதிலிருந்து விலக்கப்படுவது பாலின ரீதியான அதிகார அமைப்புகளால் திட்டமிட்டு நிலைநிறுத்தப்படுவதாக கூறிய பிரதமர், அரசியல், பெண்கள் தலைமைத்துவம் மீது மேற்கொள்ளப்படும் துன்புறுத்தல், குணநலன் படுகொலை மற்றும் முறையான ஓரங்கட்டல் காரணமாக பல திறமையான பெண்கள் பங்கேற்பதிலிருந்து விலக வேண்டிய நிலை உருவாகுவதாக சுட்டிக்காட்டினார்.
Asymmetrical power relations while cultivating collective agency, accountability and care. Feminist leadership thus seeks not only representation within existing systems, but the fundamental reconstitution of these systems to enable equality, justice, and inclusive social transformation. Across the globe, women are increasingly asserting an agency in political, economic, and social spheres, yet their contributions remain systemically undervalued, and structural barriers rooted in patriarchal norms, sociocultural expectations, and historical inequities continue to limit access to leadership. These changes are particularly acute for women situated in the intersection of multiple identities, including class, ethnicity, geography, education, disability, and other socially structured positions that shape differential access to power, resources, and opportunities. Understanding leadership through this lens is critical. The changing global order will only be inclusive and sustainable if women's perspectives and experiences are integrated at all levels. Sri Lanka's post-war, post-colonial journey offers powerful lessons. Decades of conflict, structural inequality, and legacies of colonial economic systems have left communities marginalized, particularly women, rural populations, and plantation workers. Yet these same communities have repeatedly demonstrated extraordinary resilience. Women have led in rebuilding families and livelihoods, sustaining local economies, and finding innovative solutions to complex challenges, often in the absence of institutional support. In moments of crisis, communities respond with strength and solidarity. Within this collective effort, women not only, we experienced this in the aftermath of the cyclone Ditwa, which hit us end of November, and the way in which communities came together to help each other and to support the recovery was truly amazing, and women were once again at the forefront of this. And women contribute not only to recovery work, but also to carry the responsibility of holding households together, caring for children and the elderly, and maintaining stability at home, enabling others to engage in response and recovery efforts outside. This largely unseen labor is fundamental to community survival and recovery, and reflects a form of leadership grounded in care, responsibility, and endurance. Economically, women's contributions are often invisible or undervalued, particularly in the sphere of unpaid care work, informal labor, and agriculture. Beyond aggregate growth, many reports underscore the transformative social outcomes of women engaging in paid work, but rarely acknowledge their role in unpaid care work, which continues to remain invisible and continues to be unrecognized in many calculations or many understandings of how women work. Beyond the economic rationale, figures or the experiences of women's work emphasizes a fundamental feminist imperative economies must serve equality, justice, and societal well-being, and understand and value work in all its different forms. From a political standpoint, exclusion of women from decision-making is not incidental. It is structurally maintained through gendered power hierarchies. Attacks on women in leadership, I think we all know what that feels like, particularly in politics, through harassment, character assassination, and systemic marginalization often force capable women, including those aspiring to leadership, to withdraw or refrain from participation. Feminist political theory underscores that democracy and justice cannot be realized without addressing systemic inequalities in representation and voice. Kumari Jayawardena, a prominent Sri Lankan feminist scholar, observes, you can have a queen, you can have all sorts of situations where it looks like a woman is in charge or women are at the top, but that doesn't mean that patriarchy has gone or that women are not oppressed in terms of wage, employment, society, customs, superstitions. I'm going to end with a little personal reflection. Sri Lanka, as you know, produced the first female prime minister in the world as far back as in 1960. And since then, I'm the third female prime minister in Sri Lanka. We've had a female president who was elected twice. Yet, despite women being elected to those top positions, our parliament was never able to exceed over 5% of female representation, right? And both the first female prime minister and the first female president came from very powerful political families. It was in 2024, when my government was elected to power, that we managed to change this and double the number of women in parliament. So we went from 5% to a measly 10%, right? This is also far from enough, but it was a good start. And of the 22 women in parliament currently, including myself, all of us representing my party come from non-political families. We are not there because of our husbands, brothers, or fathers. Many of us are newbies to politics. We've entered parliament or entered into electoral politics for the first time. So it's marked a real change, I think. But with that change, there is also a disruption and an anxiety at all levels about how to handle these unusual women in these positions of authority and in such public sort of view and subject to so much public exposure. But I think this is how change happens, and we are hopeful. And in this uncertain world, we were just talking before this, that for us in our part of the world, uncertainty and instability is not new. We've known how to deal with it. We've always had to strive to maintain our sovereignty against all odds, to maintain economic and political sovereignty that's challenged from all sides. So this is not new to us, this current situation, the current kind of global uncertainty that we are all experiencing. But one thing we know, we can get through this, and we can get through this, and I offer to you Sri Lanka as a story of hope and optimism in this very, very turbulent world today. Thank you so much. I'm really grateful for this opportunity.
மேலதிக செய்திகளுக்காக எமது யூடியூப் தளத்தை சப்ஸ்கிரைப் செய்யுங்கள்.